Okay, welcome to the Independence Live office. I'm here with Councillor Susan Aiken, who is leader of Glasgow City Council, and we've got Duncan Spears. We're going to be talking about safety on the Clydeside again. This is the third time I've been talking to you, Duncan. So can you give me a bit of background about why you get involved with this petition on safety issues on the Clydeside?
The reason why we got involved is because we lost our son down at the Clydeside. What happened to him was he was on a night out and he was going down to the bridge, the Clydeside Bridge, which he normally takes on his way home, and unfortunately events that night was a stormy night and they had the bridge closed because of debris, and there was police officers there and my son was talking to them, and what happened was my son seen a gap between they had erected a safety barriers up. My son Christopher, he spotted a gap between the bridge and the barrier. He thought that he could go over the other side onto the Clydeside, which puts him on the river, to try and shimmy along the fence, but unfortunately he didn't make it. He fell in, and the police were there. The police were there as because of the building had come down, and he slipped in, and he was holding on to. He managed to grab the bottom rail, but he couldn't hold on, so he slipped in. So this is why we're doing the petition. What happened is the police, the whole hell broke loose, everything broke loose that night, and the police tried to fling a lifebuoy but missed them, and this is the reason why we're doing a petition, because we don't want any other family to go through what we went through, and we've now got stuff getting put in place through the council through this, and that's the reason why we're here today, just to do it safety wise.
It's right, the lifebuoy didn't have a safety line attached.
That's right.
You know, and I'm quite surprised. I assumed that all the safety boys would have had these lifebuoys. Is there not about 600 or something on the Clydeside? Is that right?
I'm not actually sure about the accurate figures. I'm not sure.
Do we know if the rest of them don't have none of them?
None of them from the green right along to the exhibition centre hasn't got any.
Yeah.
And same as the other side, haven't got any. So you're taking a big stretch from Damarnock actually right through to the exhibition centre hasn't. That's as far as we've walked, because we looked at it to make sure if this was right, and this is why we asked for the implements to be put in place, because it happened to my son and I don't want anybody else to, and just basically to get it done because it's to save other lives. It's not just my son we're here for, it's for other people we represent as well, families who are still grieving as well, who haven't got the strength for whatever reason that they can't, which I understand, they can't come forward. So this is the reason why we're here today.
So the petition was successful and it was passed, Susan, is that correct? And that was for, you wanted safety lines and signage for your petition, yeah? Where are we at in this process, Susan? What's the time frame? I know it's all come on you and you're just maybe organised, but what's the kind of time frame?
As soon as possible. Yeah. The officers are from the Water Safety Group, which is a multi-agency group. It's chaired by an officer from the council, but Scottish Fire and Rescue are involved, and the police and other key agencies. But they've adopted the River Safety Action Plan, and essentially that'll all be implemented as soon as is possible. We'll get the recommendations from Duncan and Margaret's petition in place, starting in Glasgow, but we obviously want, the Clyde goes through more than one local authority, so we want other local authorities to come in off the back of this, and actually for the recommendations to then be adopted Scotland-wide as well. It's just they're absolutely sensible safety precautions for water. The Clyde is an enormous asset for Glasgow. It's what made Glasgow to a very significant extent, but it is like any big body of water, any big river, it has dangers, and it's important that people know that they understand what the dangers are and that they respect the water, respect the Clyde, and the same goes for rivers in other cities in Scotland as well.
Yeah, we were actually talking about that in previous interviews, Duncan, about Scotland-wide. I mean, how, bad is this problem? I mean, safety lines on lifebuoys seems a kind of obvious thing. You would make the assumption that they all have them. I don't know.
I can reveal. We have got a meeting to go to with another safety committee out in Holyrood on Wednesday the 14th. We've been invited out there to speak. It's a question that we have to put our bit across. Then they'll ask us questions about our campaign. Hopefully with this other group getting involved, that we can get it across Scotland to roll out. And there's another thing we're asking for is Pacific ropes. I've spoke about this in the past, and we're going to take that and ask the safety group in Scottish Parliament, could they get something done about safety ropes. The reason why I'm talking about safety ropes is multicoloured ropes, so that if people do destroy the ropes, and if we're caught with the ropes, at least we know where the ropes have came from, and it's only specifically for life-preserving things, that like life buoys and attachments to that, because in the past I know the council have had ropes put on them, but I know that in the past that they have been vandalised and they stopped doing this. But this is that, and hopefully that we can get this rope made and get the law changed, that if anybody's caught with it, then they can get fined.
At the moment, Susan, there's no fines or anything for vandalism in these life buoys, is that right?
I don't think there's, it's not a specific offence to vandalise a life buoy. Vandalism's vandalism, and it is destruction of property. So nobody should be doing it. You shouldn't be doing that to anybody's property anyway, regardless of what it is, but they particularly shouldn't be doing it to something that is there to save lives. If somebody messes around with that kind of equipment, then they are putting lives at risk. So as far as I'm aware, there isn't a specific offence just now. That would obviously be something for the Scottish Parliament to consider, whether that's a road to go down or not. But in the meantime, what we can do as a local authority is implement the practical recommendations that Duncan and Margaret made in their petition, and that's what we're moving forward with.
What else are you looking at? That's the two, the signage and the lifeline. What else are you?
Well, officers are also going to consider. They're going to look at the possibility of the multicoloured ropes as well. Whether that's something that can be, a lot of these things are down to what's available, what they can procure, what's on the market. This is obviously specialist equipment, but they're actively looking into that as well to see whether that's something that can be taken forward.
Duncan, have you got any other ideas as to what you'd like to?
Well, I've mentioned CCTV was on the original on the original petition, but we cut back on the petition. It was the original petition was safety belt ropes on the life belts, better safety CCTV monitoring, warning signs, and officers, officials, safety officers down at Clyde to make sure everybody's safe and things like that. I know it's cost a lot of money. So what we done was we looked at the best bet was, and we had been talking to quite a few people, and they says that if we cut it down, cut the implements down, then there's a better chance of getting what we needed from the council. But I'd like to see better CCTV monitoring area, because that night my son went in. After my son went in, we had a police officer up at the house, and he says to me that the CCTV does not necessarily get monitored down at Clyde because it's not a populated area at the weekends and that, and it's more concentrated in the city centre. Well, that's not fair, because there is clubs and pubs down there, and there is a casino down there. I mean, I think it should be implemented that they get better CCTV monitoring down there, but that's for the council.
And the police,
you know,
yeah.
And the police, it's up to the police and the council to get to work together. You know, and basically just make the Clyde safer if we can, as much as we can, and let's work together and let's get this rolled out, because Glasgow's been fantastic with us. They'll give us our backing, which means that we can go now to the meeting on Wednesday and say the stuff we've asked for, Glasgow's going to implement it. And as Glasgow's been a big city council, big council, and which gives us better standing going to this meeting, because we can say this, look, we've got it rolled out in Glasgow. Why can't we look at what other councils have got, and if they haven't got this, why can't we implement it and copy like Glasgow? Because Glasgow is the first to implement this, which I'm so happy about, so grateful.
Yeah, I mean, this has created so much noise now. I'm sure other councils around Scotland will be aware of this. Susan, were you quite surprised when you found out about Duncan, the petition, that there was a lack of like safety lines and signage?
I mean, I think it's one of those things that until it's actually brought to your attention, you know, to make a decision, to make that investment, it's something that people need to be made aware of. So I wasn't necessarily surprised. You know, often these are historic legacies that have come about for various reasons. In this case, it's been vandalism, particularly. But you know, it's clear that this is a practical step that we can take to improve safety. Alongside, you know, the other side of that coin is about education and about people understanding that the Clyde, the river is dangerous. You know, it's not something that people should take risks with. And the tragic loss of Christopher and the strength that Duncan and Margaret have shown in turning that into something that will, you know, be a greater good for people in the future. That's a big lesson from it as well. It is about education. Ultimately, we can do as much as we possibly can to try and make things safe, so if somebody does fall in, but the best thing would be for people not to be falling into the Clyde at all, and for us not to have to use the safety lines, and that's ideally the position that we really want to get to.
I think that if we can educate at primary schools, if we can get in as early as we can and implement these safety procedures and say to children water is dangerous. I mean, we used to get taught in school that many years back when I was at school, which is last century, anyway, not to worry, to teach the kids, re-educate. It's about re-educating and up and coming kids, because kids, if you can get them at a certain age, absorb a lot of things into them, a lot of things, and they'll come home and say to their mums and dad, oh, what I get taught at school, I've got taught water safety, this is what we've been taught, this is what we've been taught in schools. So it's something that we can maybe look forward to integrate into this.
Well, I was actually at a local community council meeting. It was like last week, and they had a speaker along who was talking about it was rubbish, and how they were trying to educate via schools and different places, and it was very interesting because when I was listening to this, I was actually thinking about this situation, because we've talked about this before, about education, you know, and it was fascinating how they were getting schools involved in this, and I'm sure the safety issues, there must be things that schools do to do with safety that this could be looked into, the mechanisms for doing so, because if they can do it for that, you know. And it was very interesting how she was talking to other organisations about this, you know, the rubbish, the problem with rubbish and that, and trying to get people more responsible, etc. And that's where education at school, especially. And in fact, my twin daughters are going in the rubbish collections. They've been taught about this stuff in schools. So yeah, I mean, the education. I don't know, Susan, have you thought about this within about the educational angle?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's something that you know, I think it's something that schools in the city do already. They take it very, very seriously. I think the issue is then to keep reinforcing those messages. I think, you know, the analogy with rubbish is, it's not, kids don't drop litter, adults drop litter. They were taught when they were kids not to drop litter, but then they choose to drop litter when they get older. It's about ensuring that those messages stick with people throughout their lives. And you know, that people don't, as they become adults, they don't forget those messages, and that they don't think that it's okay to take risks and that safety is only for children. It's for everybody. And you know, the Clyde is a fast-moving river. It's a very mature river by the time it's in Glasgow, heading out towards the sea. It doesn't matter how big and strong you are, how strong a swimmer you are. That is going to be dangerous. And you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're putting your own, or indeed anybody else's, life at risk. You know, a potential rescuer as well. There have been incidences in the past where people have tried to save people and ended up losing their lives in the process. So those are the messages to people. You know, that if a good comes out of this tragedy, that everybody throughout their lives respects the river and understands that they shouldn't be taking those kinds of risks.
Yeah, one of the big problems was vandalism, and I believe there was someone who was caught, and he'd thrown 30 the life buoys into the Clyde. That's right. And then they caught him. That is, again,
it's a big issue.
Education at school, maybe, like, don't go near the life buoys and all that. But that is a big problem, isn't it?
It all comes back to educating people. I mean, people like are drunk and they do daft things. But I just wish anybody listening to this who's done it in the past and woke up the next morning going, God, what have I done? Just stay back from the life buoys, because they are there for safety reasons. They are there, it can save a life, and if the life buoys aren't there, you've got to run to the next one and try your hardest to get one. And if they're throwing them in at night for a laugh, please don't, because you're putting lives at risk. Absolutely. And it's not only the person who goes into the river you're putting at risk, it's the person who's going to try and save that person. If you see somebody struggling, something kicks into you to go and try and save that person. If the life buoy's there, and you can, especially with the ropes, if you can get, well, we're going to get the ropes attached now, you can throw them out, and if you miss a person, at least you can pull it in. At the moment you can't. But if there's a life buoy there, please do not play about with them. Please leave them for what they're there for, and they're there to help save lives. And just re-educate everybody. I mean,
I would say you shouldn't need to be educated not to vandalise a life buoy, frankly. If you're over the age of 10, you know what that's for. And if you are messing around with something, with life-saving equipment, and you think it's funny or a laugh, to vandalise that or mess around with it or remove it from where it should be, then, you know, you're an idiot and you deserve what you've got coming to you. It's completely unacceptable behaviour, and as I say, people shouldn't need educated to not vandalise Lifebuoys. So,
but unfortunately, some people do need to be educated, and we're hoping, as I says, what our end goal is to get the law changed as well, so that we can bring in and implement the law change, so that we can get it, like if you are caught interfering with life belts or life preservers or whatever it may be, you're going to get charged with it, and you're going to get done with it, and you're going to get fined. This is what we're looking for as well. This is another bit of the campaign as well. I haven't spoke about as much about this because I was wanting to speak about what we wanted, but this is another bit we have to look at it seriously. We need to look at hanging the law. Can we get a law set up that if you do interfere with Lifebuoys or whatever, life preservatives or whatever, please, the law could be changed that you do get a fine.
So that would be the Scottish Government that would have to introduce that.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've got your Holyrood.
We've got Holyrood on Wednesday, the 14th. That's with a cross-party group. That is with another safety committee, and we're going to raise it there and see what we can do, working with them, and see if they want to work along with us. And we have numerous MSPs and MPs who are wanting to back us on this. We've got an MP who's wanting to stand up at Parliament and put a motion to try and put a motion across. But first of all, we need to get as much backing as we can, and I know Glasgow City Council would do that with us, because you have been great up to now with us. I know I've got the backing of them, so yeah, let's get out and do it, because it's not just about me, it's not just about Christopher, this is about the full of Glasgow, the full of Scotland, people losing their lives. It's not just about him. It took his tragedy for us to sit up and really be aware of what's happening. You see time and time again on the news and in the newspapers, there is people going into Clyde and they are drowning and losing their lives. And sometimes, I don't know, it's just, sometimes you wish you could be there 24/7. I know it's impossible, but I wish I could be there 24/7 and speak to people and try and say, look, the water is dangerous. Please, if you're in that state of mind, please speak to somebody, whether it be your parents or whether it be your partner or your friend or whatever. If you're in that state of mind, please speak to somebody before you act upon. We all have our sad days. I've struggled. I've been down to Clydeside. I've put my foot on that rail. I know how it feels to like stand there and think, yeah, I could just go enjoy my son. But there's something in the back of my mind just clicks, and then it's like, well, back. And I'd like other people to think about this as well. And if you've got somebody who looks a bit fed up and depressed, please go and have a word with them. Please have a word and make sure that they're okay. If they're failing to turn up for work, give them a phone, make sure that it all comes back to you. Make sure that you're calling them, make sure that they're fine. If you don't get an answer to them, please go round, because
I noticed that there was the stickers down by the Lifebuoys, the Clyde Samaritans. The Samaritans.
Yeah, the Samaritan stickers are down there with a telephone number on it. What the council has proposed is there's a person, Steph Shaw, who wants to implement lifeline telephones, and I know through Susan and the council that they're going to try it on a like a base, to try and see if it works. Let's hope it does. Let's hope that people do use them, as well, because we need as much deterrent as we can down at Clydeside. Not deterrent, that's not the right word. As much safety as we can put down there, as much as, like, the left-line telephones are a brilliant idea. I give them back, and me and my wife give the back into it, and we think, yeah, maybe you wouldn't use it, because if you're down there and you feel that way, and you think, well, what can I do, and you see these boxes, you might be able to go and press a button and you could speak to somebody out within your family. So it's quite interesting, it's quite a good thing as well. It's all about safety of the Clyde, it's all about implementing safety down at Clydeside. You know, it's all about saving lives.
I was shocked about the scale of the vandalism that was going on when I found out. You know, it seems like obviously common sense to us that you don't go messing about with life buoys, etc. But until that message is out there to, you know, people get complacent and don't think, you know.
I think what it is I've had a lot of, I spoke to Andy Waddle at the council and that, and I'm no sliding off by any means, because they've been fantastic, the council's been fantastic with us. What I do want to say is you can get complacent thinking that your safety's up to date, but it's not had the money put in that it should be. In the past, I'm not talking about now because it's a different set of councillors and set different budgets, but in the past they did complacent about the Clyde. They thought, well, we've got this committee, we're fine, everything's working fine. The Humane Society are brilliant, they do an absolutely tremendous job. Josh Parsonage, I can't highly recommend that man get my son out, and God bless him for doing that for me. So yeah, I think that we all get complacent now and again, do you know what I mean? And it's got to stop. We've got to stop and have a look and say, right, what can we do to make this a better? And it's not just for, I keep going on about Glasgow, but it's not just Glasgow, it's the rest of the Scotland. We've got plenty of water, and we need safety implements put in these places so that people feel safe when they're out walking about. And if they do have an accident, and if somebody's there, at least if they implement safeties, at least they can try and get them out without putting themselves at risk.
The safety action plan is that's ongoing, is it? That's continuously no end date. You know, we've got our plan, let's implement it. Is it? So, any idea when that will be finished, the safety action plan, or is that just?
Well, that's the implementation of that's taking place just now.
That's it.
All right.
This is sorry, Susan.
No, on you go.
This is the water safety group action plan that I've got in my hand.
Right.
So,
yeah,
and it does line out that. Excuse me.
So this is the finished thing.
Well, I think it is. I'm not really too sure, but I don't know, Susan. Is this the thing?
I think so. Yeah.
Article. Yeah.
This is the one that they adopted.
Yeah, this is the one they adopted, and there's time scales. Well, no time scales, but it gives you everything on it that they implement. They're going to try and implement, but there's quite a lot to get through.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a comprehensive.
Yeah, it's comprehensive one now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've, like Susan says, it is comprehensive, and they've done their work.
What about measurements? Measurements to you know, if it's working or not. One of the problems that I believe before was there was no statistics and how many people were dying in the Clyde.
We'll still not get the statistics. Nobody can give us any. We've tried. We've been on the internet. We've even tried. We had a reporter approach us, and even she couldn't get it. So it's got to be out there somewhere. I mean, we've got to start. If it isn't, if it's because it's multi-agencies, they keep their own records, I suppose. But as a city, we've got to start keeping note.
Susan, what about that? I mean, being able to record, you know, how many deaths there are on the Clyde. It seems like, you know, if you want to find out if
It
this is a
will,
big
I mean, it
problem.
will be recorded somewhere. It will be. There's no
Right.
question. I don't think, you know, that's not something the council would do necessarily,
Right.
but yes, there will be a record, and obviously George Parsonage, I completely agree, is an extraordinary
Yeah.
person. He's a source, a credible source of information about deaths on the Clyde as well. So we do have access to information, and ultimately, you know, we put the safety measures in place, and then we will monitor their impact. But equally, you know, there is the other side of it, of people taking personal responsibility as well. There is only so much that agencies can do. You know, we put safety measures in place, but it's up to individuals to make sure that they behave in a way that doesn't put themselves or others at risk, and that's the biggest message of all, really, that needs to come out of this. And there is the other side to it. I mean, there are people who deliberately use the Clyde as and commit suicide by drowning in the Clyde. That's a different side to it, or you know, it's a different aspect perhaps. We have safety around accidents and accidental drowning. We want to prevent that. The issues around the Samaritans are people who are making a choice, and that's around, you know, issues about mental health there, and that's a different preventative approach that needs to be taken, if you like, because it's much more complex, that's, you know, we want all forms of death and injury in the Clyde to reduce. We don't want, you know, whether it's by accident or whether it's suicide, we don't want anybody dying in the Clyde ultimately.
Well, I was speaking to George, and George says there's more, believe it or not, there's more accidents at the Clydeside than there is, unfortunately, people committing suicide at the Clyde. So this is another reason why I'm glad that the councils came on board and going to implement these safety procedures, because it could save a life. I'm not saying it will, but hopefully it will never be used. But if it does, at least we know that they're there for somebody who has accidents. It was George that was saying to me, like I says, that there's more accidents down at Clyde than there is suicides. You know, and which I was like shocked. You know, and I was like, you know, let's get something done, and here we are today. We got our wish with Susan and the council that they'll implement these things, and let's hope that we can save somebody's life.
Yeah, it's a really good thing that's been done here, isn't it? Off the back of unfortunately your son's death, but if this gets rolled out over Scotland as well, you know, it
means that it's. I keep saying this, and Kevin, I keep saying this. It's not just about my son. It's about other people as well. It's not just about my family. Unfortunately, we've came forward that this has happened to us, so we came forward and we got the petition. Everybody was for it. I got people involved who I didn't think was going to get involved, and it's just been tremendous support we've got. Every night we sit and we think, before the petition gets passed, are we going to get this, because it is necessary. And now it's passed, we're thinking, like, what else can we do? What more can we do to make water safe for people? And we're not, I can tell you this right now, we're not going to give up until we have got everything we're asking for, not just for us but for everybody else. And as long as I've got a breath left in my body, we'll fight. And unfortunately my wife couldn't be here today as she's not well, through stress and other things, and the loss of a son, the loss of a loved one, nothing can compare to that. I've lost family, I've lost so much in my life, but losing my son ripped my heart out, and it felt like as if somebody stood on top of it and put it back in. And every day is a struggle for us to get up and get on with it, but keeping going with the petition and with support of people out there, and now with the council, that yeah, we can get something done. Yeah, we're only two people who have cared. It's happened. Well, we're not only two people it's happened to, but it took a tragedy for us to get this started, for us to get involved in things. But now we're involved, and the more you look into it, the more determined you are to do it for other people.
Okay.
Christopher, is to save Christopher's. I mean, that night, people can say that it was Christopher's fault. He chose to go on the other side of the fence. But God, he paid with his life for a stupid mistake. And we don't want anybody else to go through this, what we're going through. And believe me, I know what if people out there who have lost family members, drowning or whatever, I know how they feel. It's bloody hard to get up and to keep going, to keep the fight going. I was willing to stop, but my wife kept us going. My wife says, right, let's go, let's get this done. So I've came afresh and look at it and says, right, let's get this done. Let's get this done for Christopher and all the others who's perished in the Clyde and the full of Scotland. So let's get this done for them, because that's what it's needing. Do you know what I mean? And the council, I can't thank the council enough for backing our petition. It's wonderful. Susan gave us a nice speech. She was speaking at full council. It was wonderful. I had a cry, and my wife watched it when she got back. She had a cry, and Graham Campbell, I've got to thank him as well for putting the motion, and he put the question to Susan. And other councillors who've been there for us are there. I know that I can just phone them and ask them and see what they think. I can run ideas off them, and I hope I could do the same with Susan now. Now Susan's on board with the petition, and I'd like to think that we can now work together and get things done.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for coming along today. It's a hugely important topic that I never knew anything about, Susan, until Duncan approached us. So to you and your wife, amazing. Thank you so much for what you have done, and please come back again after Holyrood, and if you get more to talk to us about this, Susan, yourself as well.
I'll keep Susan up to date.
We try to get this information out there, to make people more aware of what's going on. So any updates, please let us know.
As soon as I get updates, I'll let you know. I mean, like, we're only wanting one thing, is we're wanting for Christopher is to be Christopher, to get recognised for this, for us doing this petition for him and other ones, but we need recognition for Christopher, because I'm not letting my son vote his death pass without him getting recognised for this, because he's the driving force behind this. And I know he's there watching over us, pushing us in every direction we can, pushing us in the right direction.
Certainly deserve that kind of recognition. I don't know how you do that, but
I don't know, but I know that
it's a very nice gesture for that to happen, for all the effort that's been put in.
It's like I says, it's not me and my wife who, I'm not doing this for recognition, nor is my wife, not by any means, but we're doing it for our son and everybody else that's lost their life. We're not asking for much, all we're asking for is Christopher to get recognised for us doing this for him.
Okay, well, thank you again for coming along, and we'll be talking more about this again, won't we?
I'll keep you up to date on that, and I'll let you know.
Okay, then Now this is a bit where I have to flick cameras and switch it all off and all that, so it's a bit tricky. But let me try, okay?
Okay.
Let's see, give this a go, see if this works. Nope, that was the wrong thing.